Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I'm going to make two today that are more of the paper pumpkin alternatives for the March kit. This is the first one, and I have this sample which we're going to make, and then I have another one that we're going to make in more of the very vanilla colors. And it's a slight variation on this, but this way I can show you two of them at one time. So for this one, what we need to make this card is, and I'm using pretty much very vanilla bases on these cards because I think it goes with the color scheme pretty well. So what we need is a piece 5 1/4, excuse me, by 4. That is the top layering piece in Fresh Fig. Then I cut a piece of this pretty paper from the back side of one of those seed packet envelopes here, and this measures 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. Then I have one here that is 2 1/2 by 5 1/4 in the powder pink that matches the colors that are in this kit. Then I have two flowers here that are, one is from the kit and one I stamped, and some green leaves. Then we have our base here, which is in very vanilla, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, cut and scored at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to show you how I made this piece, which is the underflower for this. Then we'll be using some of the elements from the gift that came with the set. Specifically, I'll be using this little stamen set on this one. So let's just get started with this one. And so you also need a piece of scrap here to stamp the flower. And what I'm going to show you how to do is how to stamp this flower. And for this I went ahead and I used the Early Espresso, which is the ink that came with the kit. I'm just using my full-size pad here. It's a little easier for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how I made this little flower embellishment here. And I stamped, oops, let me get my Pierce mat here. This is photopolymer, and we want the best opportunity to be successful with stamping this. So I'm going to stamp this flower in the center. There we go. Nice image. Now, what I have made is a bunch of little masks, and you can see I've been using these a lot because they're pretty well covered. All right, so what we're going to do is put the mask in place here on this flower. Let's see. I'll figure out how to get this one put in place so that it's on there right. And mine has kind of run out of sticky on this Post-it note, so I'm just adding a little bit of snail and then wiping it down just a bit, and putting this little flower here on over the one that I've already stamped. Now, in order to do this, what we're going to do is stamp this flower just beyond the edges of this petal, because I don't want a monster giant flower, although that might be kind of fun, and you could cut layers down. But for this, I wanted to keep it fairly simple. And being photopolymer, you can see through this, and I can see that if I just go a little bit outside of the rim of this one, I can get that kind of a shape. Now, what I'm going to do is mask this one, and let's see. I think that one is right there, and I can still see my little flower base here. So now I'm going to go again just outside the rim of that flower and get some more petals. Then I'm going to place this one back down again here on that piece, and once again I can continue to see my flower, original flower mask here that I cut, and so I'm not going wildly outside that, so that I keep the round shape of this as I go around. Now I'm going to move this one more time, and you can see I'm staying relatively close to the original picture here. And so let me see, I think for this one I might have to get a double mask, because I'm going to want to stamp right in here, and I don't want to get these flowers here over stamped. So let's see if I can figure out where that one is. I think it's right here. So right in there. And so what I want to do is, let's see, I had another mask here, which I don't see. That's all right. What I'm going to do is take another piece of this Post-it paper and just put it across this one flower here. Then I'm going to do one more stamping that just rounds out my flower right there. And when I pick this up, I should have a flower that has petals all the way around it. So that is what we're going to do here for this flower, to make this. And so I've already cut a centerpiece for this, and then we'll use, I'll use a sponge here to kind of give that whole thing a little bit of dustiness, if you will, to it, and getting it looking a little bit more like the flowers that I cut. And I'm going to move away here and fussy cut that bigger flower, and I'll be right back. All right. So the other thing we're going to do is remove this piece from here, but I wanted to show that on camera because these little pieces are very delicate, and they'll break if you're not real careful. And so part of the process is pushing down and pushing up on them. This one's ready to come out, and sort of breaking them away from their little perches here, especially this stamen. It'd be real easy to break that one. And so what I'm just doing is pushing down a little bit right from the stem, but while supporting it with my hand in the back so that I'm not pushing too hard or too far. And if you're very careful, you can push these little elements out without breaking them. And this one looks like it's just about to come away. And you can use any of the tools you have, like the pierce tool here, to encourage these little pieces to come loose. And you can see that they're starting to come out here in the back. And it's one of those things that the more patient you are, the better your chances of success are. And there, we've gotten that one out intact. Okay, so what I did on this one is I just used my Versamark and pushed this little thing into the Versamark and got it really covered with the Versamark ink, and then put it in some gold powder. And I have my gold powder here, and I'll show you exactly how I put it in there so that I was able to manage it. This has these little splits in between the pieces here. I'll bring that up so you can see it. And I just captured the whole thing with my scissor tips, and that way I could put it in the powder here and shake it, get the loose powder off. And in fact, I think I'll just leave this on here and use this to hold this while I use my heat gun on this. So as usual, I'll quiet the video and be right back. Okay, and you can see in the video that I ran this through twice so that I got really good coverage of the gold powder on that little element. And that way it's covered along the sides and around the edges, and you can't see the wood any place in that, and that's what I wanted. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is use my sponge with my early espresso ink and just go around the edges of the flower here and take down the pink just a little. And this stamp matches the elements and everything in this kit so perfectly that you can just take a piece of powder pink or a piece of cream, and I think I showed that in one of the other videos, and the yellow is so saffron, and so you can make a ton of extra flowers and keep going on this kit for a long time by cutting out elements and then just adding a little bit of the extra flowers. Okay, so let me move that out of the way, and let's go ahead and put this little card together. I think we've got it to the point where it's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to put some snail, no I'm not. I'm going to put the elements on top of this card first so I can wrap my twine around it. So this piece here, I left a bit of a margin here, so this is just a matter of gluing this one down flat. And because this flower is raised so much, I thought the rest of the elements should be flat on this. Now I want to leave a pretty nice size border on this one side, and then I've got my pretty pattern piece here, and I know it seems kind of sad not to use the flowers here, but I use that for other pieces, and there's more in the kit, so you can use them for other kinds of things as well. Then I centered this piece on here and ran that, oops, that's not so straight. Let me try that again. So when you lay this stuff down, you want to be careful and not lay it down too heavily until you're absolutely sure you've got everything straight. And that way too, if there's any little edges along the bottom here, like this one has, you can just trim them away, and then you've got a nice and perfect fit. All right, so the next thing I wanted to do was to put some of these larger leaves on here, and since these leaves had, now this isn't exactly the same flower, in fact I'm going to snip those out. I can use those buds someplace else, and it doesn't match the flower, and eventually, I know me, that'll bother me. So I'm going to nip that bud out on that one, and let's see, I had another one. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to, we'll use those buds someplace else. All right, so what I have here are one of the leaves that I stamped using the stamp and a little bit of lemon lime twist paper. And so I'm going to go ahead and put at least the leaves down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this piece up on dimensionals, then this piece again raised a little bit, then place my element on top. Then I want some leaves coming out the top and a goodly spray of them coming out the bottom. And let me grab my tag here so we can do our stamping. This is the happy birthday that came with the kit, and I thought this particular little label has this pretty detail on it that has sort of pink dots, and I thought that would go particularly well on this card. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. All I'm doing is inking up in the early espresso off camera here, and let me grab my Pierce mat and set this down and get my happy birthday on here. There we go. And close up my ink and get that all ready to go. All right, so this is pretty much the way this is going to come together, with these little leaves tucked way under here. And then we'll wrap the twine around. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put those elements in place. I'm going to place that down so that it's not exactly the same as the flower underneath, so we get more of the look of a variety of petals. Then this piece I put in place with a glue dot, and put one glue dot on the back side of this stamen, and then put that pretty piece on top of my flower. Now these leaves I want to just kind of stick in here. And it looks like I might have to do a little leaf surgery here. So I'm going to cut this one away and stick it down right in here. And then this one I'm going to stick right in here. I think that will look good. Okay, right in there. Now on the twine, what I did was I put some snail on the back side of my card, and then I tucked the twine just underneath the petals here, and I secured one end here on the snail, and I went around the card 3 times. This one, I put the twine more at the top than the bottom, so I'll probably put the sentiment on the bottom on this one. And then what I did was, now that this is done, I can go ahead and put this on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Now it's got a lot of elements on it, and if you were uncomfortable with that, then I would say use a little liquid glue, but I think this will work here. So I'm going to put this in place here, and there's our pretty card. And what I did was I took some of this twine, actually quite a bit of it, went back and forth 3 or 4 times, and I snipped off the twine. Then I took all of this and just tied it in a knot, kind of in the center. And then I used my scissors to cut any ends that were still loops on the ends of this, and then used my bone folder to further curl this this twine. I kind of like the idea of this stuff kind of cascading down the card and having a lot of bend to it. And so my thought was something like this, and then tie a bow up over the top of that. So I'm using glue dot to secure this piece in place. So I'm putting a glue dot right in here so that it gets anchored to the leaf, the card, and the twine. And then I'm setting this knot right on top of that piece so that I get this nice curly effect here. And then I took my twine again and took, I think it was a double or a triple length of it again. Here, let's see if I can, again, a pretty good sized piece. Oops, my sign is moving here. And cut the loops on that as well. And then I just tied a bow with this other piece, and it's a lot of twine, but I thought it needed to be fairly substantial to match the other elements on this card. And then I'm going to add this bow right in here as well with the rest of this string. And maybe it's too much, but I kind of like the idea of all of this. Well, now it's bothering me, so I'm going to clip it back just a little. I like the idea of it being a little on the unruly side. There, that's a little bit better. And now my bow is matches a little bit closer. So again, I'm going to use a glue dot. And on this one, I didn't use the purple ribbon because I thought it would be lost. On the next one, I'm going to use the purple ribbon. So I put the glue dot right on top of the knot of this bunch of string that I put down here, and then set my bow off to the side there. And so it looks like there's just lots and lots of tails to that bow. Okay, then I'm going to add a dimensional or two on the back of my happy birthday here and put that into place on my card. And I'm going to set that down right there. And then for the decorations for the inside of this card, I thought I would take another one of these pink flowers and just attach it to the inside of the card along with a little bit of this leaf. This was one of the cutouts from the kit. And let's see if I have another leaf. I do. I'm going to tuck one more leaf in on the other side. Of this flower. And there's my decoration for the inside. So there's that first card, and this is card number 3 in the kit. And the only other thing I added was a few of these pearls, and I used the lighter pink pearls on the fresh fig here, a couple of them, and in this case maybe over here, and then I used one of the smaller dark ones on the lighter piece, and I think that works. And I think that's actually a very pretty little card. So that is card number 3, and I'll bring back the others as we get moving along. Now for this next one, I don't really have a sample, more of just a thought in my head. It's going to be quite similar to this one in that it's using the same kind of thing. So you've already seen me stamp this and get the outer petals. And so this one I've already fussy cut. And for this one, I am using this piece here from one of the envelopes, and this is one that got torn. So I'm going to be very careful as I use this and put it down. And I have this piece here, which I'm going to lay right across here where that torn element is. And I'm going to just add some snail to this and put that into place. And in fact, I'm going to move this piece all the way out to that edge. To add a little interest to the front of the card. Then on this one, what I decided was, because it is more the craft, that I could use the ribbon on this one. So I'm going to just add some snail across the bottom here, and I'm going to pull this ribbon right across the bottom. And I didn't put any snail on the back of that, which is usually my practice. So maybe I'll tuck a glue dot underneath there to hold that particular piece of ribbon in place. And I'm just going to put a glue dot on this side here, because we're going to put the flowers down again. So on this one, here is one of those flowers already cut out. And in fact, I had two flowers. One that was quite a bit bigger, and I think I'll use the larger one, and then one of these flowers to go on the top, and we're going to make that same kind of arrangement here and use this tag to do a happy birthday. I'm kind of in a happy birthday mood today. So I'm going to add some dimensional backing to this piece here. I will go around the edges, and if I do that, then I want to do that in the fresh fig, because that's what this was stamped in. So let me grab my fresh fig ink here and a sponge, and I'm just going to get some fresh fig around the edges of There we go. We have our panel on there. And I'm going to grab some more of the green leaves from the kit here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this up on dimensionals and start putting my card together. There we go. We've got our pieces in place. Then I made a bow out of this pretty fresh fig ribbon, and I thought this bow might go well. Got to decide where, and it's feeling a little big now. Yep, I'm thinking right about there, and I'm going to add that with a glue dot. Go. Now on this one, we have some additional elements. I'm going to use my happy birthday stamp again with my fresh fig ink. So here's my fresh fig, and I'm going to stamp my happy birthday, let's see, right in the center of this one. And then I thought this would be a good place maybe to use some of the brads that came with this kit. This tag has a couple of little holes here on the sides, and then it also has those pieces that were cut out to go around those envelopes. And I think what I'm going to do is poke these little holes out in these things as well, and put just a little bit of glue on that and put it into place over the hole on this here, and do the same on the other side. And then put these brads in place over that. There we go. We have a happy birthday. And again, I think this is a very pretty card. And we have, let's see, I need a little bit more greenery. Actually, I have one of these pieces that I cut off from another one. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of snail to this on the inside. Add a little bit of the greenery underneath one side here, and then add this other little brownish flower, which I think goes well with this color scheme, right in here. And there we go. There we have the two cards that we made today, and or here's the two cards that we made today and the original sample. And it is a way to show you on this kit how you can do more with that flower stamp and get something that's got a little bit more embellishment on it. Now this center is looking fairly bare to me. I'm thinking one of these lovely things here. I don't think it's too much. We're about to find out. If we put that there, there we go. We've got yet another very attractive. So this, let me bring back the other two cards that I've made so far with this kit. So what we have is, and I'll pull this one out. Here we have, this one was card number 1 that we made with this kit. This was card number 2, 3, and 4. So there we have the cards so far, and I think I will end up doing one more video with 2 more cards from this kit, just because there's so many pieces in it and there's so much opportunity to do something kind of fun and different. So I think I will do one more video with 2 more cards for this kit, so we'll end up with 6 alternatives in the end. So thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. I've been a little inconsistent in my videos in the last little bit, and we've got some family health issues that we're dealing with, and so it's going to continue to be just a little spotty here, as I can sneak a video in here and there as time permits. And so I will be back with more kits, more cards, and more projects. And this is it. This is the tail end of Celebration. So It ends March 31st, so if you want to get more celebration free gifts, you have to put an order in between now and month end. Today's the 29th, so we really only have a couple of days left. Also, it's the end of the 2 extra stamps for joining Stampin' Up! And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and or you could join my team. I'd love to have more people on my team. And so thanks again for stopping by. Share and like the video, and like I said, I'll be back soon with more projects and more cards. Bye!